We need to talk about Modern Warfare 3 Zombies. The game was revealed yesterday, and we got the first bits and pieces of information about zombies, and clearly, this is going to be a polarizing zombies mode. Some people are going to end up loving this, and some are just going to hate it straight up. So in this video, I'm going to constructively review what we know so far about zombies and look at the good things, the bad things, and the ugly things. Some of this will be some of my own personal opinion, and if you don't agree with me here, then that's absolutely fine, and I'd love to know your opinions in the comments. First and foremost, we need to lay down the facts here. Gameplay for zombies was not revealed. No one has seen zombies gameplay, so we genuinely don't know what this is going to look like, how it's going to play. So I think the most important thing is to hold judgment until we actually get the reveal and we see gameplay for ourselves. We can't all jump to conclusions immediately when we've not seen any actual gameplay of zombies. Straight off the bat, it is not round-based, and that's obviously going to be very disappointing to quite a lot of you who have just been waiting anxiously for the next round-based zombies map. And at its core, zombies has always been round-based, and it always should be. And hearing Treyarch make another zombies mode that's not in their own game and it isn't round-based, obviously it's going to get people a little bit nervous because we are still not quite over what Vanguard Zombies was. On paper, Vanguard Zombies looked and sounded like exactly what we wanted, but when we got the game on launch, it was obvious that Treyarch had reverted so badly back from what they did so well in Cold War. Not just the fact that Vanguard wasn't even Outbreak, nor was it round-based. It tried to combine the two, and it just created the most dull and boring zombies experience that we've ever seen. The perk system was also completely reverted to where you had to buy it multiple times to get the full upgrade potential, and on launch it was just missing so much, and that whole year of zombies was such a mess that some of us are clearly still burnt out and sort of scared to see that Treyarch are taking on the helm of another zombies mode in a game that isn't their game. But if for 1 second you don't think they're going to take on that criticism from Vanguard Zombies and learn from what went wrong with it, then you're crazy. But I think the first positive thing to say on the good is that straight away Treyarch are not hiding what this mode is. They're not hiding that it's a open world mode, and they're not hiding that this is not round based. So I think straight away we are entitled to feel disappointed that it's not round based, but at least we know straight away what this actually is. And it's something really different for zombies, where it's actually an extraction based game loop within an open world far bigger than anything we saw in Outbreak, which has the same level of objectives, but there's also going to be contracts involved as well. And by the sounds of it, actual missions you equip when you go into the game to complete, which will add some variety in what you do in the game as opposed to Outbreak, where it was just completing one central objective and repeating that for an infinite amount of time, which should give you multiple different ways to play the game mode, as opposed to Outbreak's very linear one main objective per round sort of thing. Now, I am someone that was deeply addicted to DMZ since its launch last year. I absolutely love DMZ. I love the concept. It felt so fresh to me to experience that sort of gameplay format of extraction based within Call of Duty. And I said from day one that if that game mode had zombies in it instead of traditional AI soldiers, the mode would be absolutely incredible. And in a way, that is exactly what we are getting. Some of you may have played DMZ and really like it. Some of you may have tried it and not liked it. But for me, the fact that there's now zombies within a mode that's pretty much like DMZ already makes me 10 times more engaged in it because it's zombies. But I also completely understand for those of you that did not like Outbreak and did not like DMZ, this is obviously not great news for you. But as much as we just want things to stay the same in zombies, there has to be some innovation and some changes at some point. And this is a really bold move from Treyarch to push into an unknown territory part of zombies that has never been done before. And if you just want things to stay the same with round-based zombies, then I am very confident that we are going to be getting round-based zombies properly in Treyarch's next Black Ops game next year. But another thing, with this being on the biggest map in zombies history, with the most amount of players ever seen in zombies, like, that is pretty cool. We're having 24 players in one singular game of zombies, where you can have up to 6 players on a single zombie squad. Like, that is really cool. Just the idea of being in an open world and coming across multiple other real players that are also fighting zombies with the in-game voice chat, that is so cool. And I think that concept back in the day, especially on the bigger maps like Transit, which was clearly supposed to be this open world, coming across other random survivors in real time in an open zombies environment, that's just really cool. The main gripe I had with Outbreak is that the maps didn't feel like zombies maps. They were literally just cut from multiplayer and zombies were planted on it. Now, as far as I'm aware, this is going to be taking place on the Warzone map, so it's a similar thing here, but Treyarch have stated that they have adjusted the theming and the lighting and the atmosphere of this map to be what you would expect from Zombies. And that was my biggest complaint about Outbreak, is that the map didn't feel like I was on a Zombies map. Now, this is a very hear me out comment, but the only thing Vanguard Zombies did right was its art direction. The way that the visuals looked with the maps and the detail was very, very nice. And I really hope that this massive map has some sort of Zombies identity with how it looks visually. If it doesn't, then that is a hugely missed opportunity. On a fundamental level, it's also cool that we're finally getting Zombies in a Modern Warfare game. Like, we've dreamt of this happening and it sounded like it was never happening, but it finally is. Aside from there being one leaked concept art from MW 2019, I remember the game directors specifically saying that they would never put Zombies in a Modern Warfare game because they wanted to keep to the realism of Modern Warfare, and here we are. But with this mode being a hybrid of Outbreak and DMZ, I think this is going to be infinitely more replayable than Outbreak was, because once you played Outbreak a few times, you've done both Easter egg quests, you really have played the mode in its entirety. There's nothing new for you. Whilst with this, at least by the sounds of it, it sounds like there's a lot more depth there with more things to do and more reasons to go back into the mode with the different missions. And rather than with Outbreak, where zombies are spread everywhere and there's no real significance to certain areas being dangerous than others, this is very clearly being marked as a map where you will clearly understand where the difficulty lies, where it begins with a fairly easy low threat zone, and then as you make your way further towards the central part of the map, it becomes harder and harder until you get to the very hard. So those looking for a challenge immediately have it and know where it is from the get-go. And we shouldn't be praising Treyarch for this, but some of the most classic fundamental parts of Zombies, like the ray gun, sounds like it's going to be there on day one. This is not going to be a Vanguard where that did not even launch with the ray gun in the mystery box. Like, that, how does that make any sense? And on top of that, Vanguard Zombies launched with absolutely no Easter eggs, no secrets, no nothing, whilst we know right from the get-go that there are secrets littered around the map for us to discover, and that there will be Easter eggs. Although we don't know to what capacity, we assume that there'll be Easter egg quests, but it sounds like most of the main parts of the story of the map that will involve Easter egg type gameplay is all centered around completing each main act of the story in this mode. And another positive thing is that already confirmed, we are going to be getting cinematic cutscenes. This is massive because we did not see that in the beginning of Vanguard Zombies, and all we got was slideshow presentations. So it sounds like they're at least setting the precedent that there's going to be a lot more scope and attention given into how this story is going to be told, and that's a really good sign. Now let's talk about the things that when I heard about them I was a little bit concerned, starting with the fact that this game mode is time limited, which as far as I'm aware is the first time that's ever happened in a main Zombies game mode. I mean, technically you could say modes like Turned in Black Ops 2 also had a timer, but this is a full-fledged mode with an open world where you're going to be spending a lot of time to discover absolutely everything, and having a hard time limit on a Zombies mode just feels a little bit strange to me. I do understand why though, because this mode is essentially like a DMZ where there is a storm coming in that's slowly but surely eating away at the entire map, and you're going to need to exfil before that storm comes in so that you don't actually die and that you can leave with all of the stuff you found in that game. But I think for some people that very concept within a Zombies mode is something that they just won't be able to get their heads around or really accept as Zombies. I'm also worried about the longevity of the game mode with the fact we have that hour time limit, but we already know the basic premise of the game mode by getting as far as you can into the central point of the map where it's the most difficult, and that's where you're going to find the coolest and biggest pieces of the mode. But the problem with modes like Outbreak, and especially when you look at Vanguard Zombies, is that once you've played it a few times, you've essentially seen absolutely everything to the mode, and I'm really worried that this is going to be a similar thing where you're going to play it for maybe a few days or so. We're going to run through all of the content that it has to offer, and then there's zero replay value. Like I think with DMZ as well, the thing that makes it a lot more replayable is those faction missions, and the fact we're getting them in this mode is great. But the issue with DMZ is once you've blitzed through all of those, you don't really have anything left to do, and I'm worried that could be the same thing here. I really hope it's not, but when you look at a mode like round-based Zombies, even though you could also argue that is also the same thing and you've seen everything, it's also very replayable in the way that you approach it. There's so many different ways that you can play round-based. You can switch it up, use different weapons, don't pack a punch, don't turn power on, all these different challenges people have made over the years, and this seems like this is a very linear set thing where there are no variables variables to the game mode itself. Another thing that I really don't like the idea of is the fact that within the game mode itself, there's a human faction called Terminus Outcomes that you're fighting against, but for the first time ever in Zombies history, you won't only be fighting zombies inside of a Zombies mode, as you can actually take on this human faction as actual shootable AI within the game that are human and are likely going to be able to shoot back at you, which is just something so alien in Zombies. We saw it very briefly in 2 Exo Zombies maps, and that was one of my biggest critiques of those maps, was that there was actual AI that could shoot back at you. I really don't think and agree that that should be in Zombies. That really does defeat the whole point of the mode itself. It is Zombies mode. You're fighting zombies. You're not supposed to be fighting humans. And the fact that you can play this mode and strictly just take on the human AI, you don't even have to kill zombies, that's something that just seems really weird to me. Now, I spoke earlier about the map and the fact that Treyarch have said that the theming, the atmosphere, and the lighting will be true to normal zombies, which I'm happy about, but at the same time, I feel like the map is just the Warzone map, but with zombies on it. And I think what makes Zombies so special is when you have those very unique atmospheres and maps which have just so much character to them. I suppose when those maps are so small, it's easier to craft such a unique experience like Mob of the Dead or Shadows of Evil. When you have an open world so big as this, I feel like there's just going to be a bit of character that's going to be lost in comparison, and that the map won't feel like a Zombies map, if you get what I'm saying. I would love to be proven wrong, but it seems like such a huge undertaking to have such a massive map that I don't think Treyarch would have made the map purely themselves. And again, I could be wrong, but on the topic of replayability, the way that Treyarch described the main story bits of the game is that it will happen through the missions, and there are 3 acts within the game mode, and at the end of each act, there is like a bespoke mission where you're taken to a smaller version of the open world map where the sandbox elements are dialed down, and there's a more scripted experience where there's going to be storyline, there's going to be Easter egg elements, and that's going to be really exciting. But we know there is like 3 of those, but then what happens once we've completed them? And what if they are so easy that we'll blitz through that within the first few days of launch, and then there'll be nothing left to really do in the mode? I mean, we could say the exact same thing for every Easter egg quest ever when a Zombies map first launches and we blitz through it within the first day or 2. But that's like a full-fledged Easter egg quest where we're hunting and solving puzzles and secrets to get us to that ending, while this seems like it's a very linear pathway to getting to that content without you necessarily having to figure out anything. And again, I'd love to be proven wrong, and we still don't know any real details on how that's going to work, but it sounds like the whole process to experience that content has been dumbed down quite a bit. People complained about how easy the Easter egg hunts were in Cold War and how easy the Easter eggs are in general, but I think that's both a positive and a negative thing to whoever you ask. And all of that ties into another concern I have, which is the depth of the mode. At this moment in time, again, we've not seen gameplay, we don't really know much at all, but what I'm gathering is there might not be that much depth to this mode, at least not the depth that we expect. And it definitely seems that this is a game mode which has been created for casual players, people that maybe only touch zombies now and again or haven't played zombies at all. But if you're a hardcore zombies player that goes to round 255 and does all these crazy challenges, then it doesn't seem like this is going to be the sort of thing that you're going to be into. Another thing which can be interpreted in both the good and the bad is that this seems so left field of a mode that Treyarch would do. Like, it's so different. It's so unusual to see Treyarch combining an open world zombies with extraction based elements like DMZ, which up until now we have never seen before in a Treyarch game. There's never been this extraction based game loop, and some will just straight out say for the rest of time that that does not belong inside of Call of Duty Zombies. I'm the sort of person that's really open to the idea of it because I love DMZ, but I know some of you just simply aren't going to be, especially when you hear the words Modern Warfare 3 Zombies, but what it actually is not what it sounds like. Now, it's been a while since we've had a zombies with actual consumables like gobblegums and elixirs, and in this game we're getting a new function called acquisitions, where as you complete contracts and explore the world, you'll be coming across these items called acquisitions. And the example examples we got was a juggernaut can or a ray gun weapon case, and you can choose to use it right there and then, or exfil with it and take it out and use it in your next game. I think having to actually grind to find these really powerful things is a good idea, but there's another part to it called schematics, where if you find the schematics and exfil with it, you'll be able to permanently craft this stuff, which makes it sound really overpowered, being able to spawn in with a ray gun as soon as you go into the game. Now, this is apparently going to be on a cooldown, so you can't always craft these and bring these in, but I think what separates this and Gobblegums, which is going to be a very obvious comparison, is that those were like a supernatural ability that you couldn't get any other way within the Zombies game, whilst you can still get a ray gun by just actually going ahead and getting lucky with the box, or you can just choose to bypass all of that. And it just seems very strange, I guess, for zombies to have that, and that's why I'm a little bit concerned. There's never been a thing before where you could instantly spawn in with a ray gun in Zombies. It sounds a little bit similar to DMZ, where you could just spawn in with like a kill streak or a certain consumable straight away, and then when they added those into the bundles in the store, that's when things got a little bit controversial, as it made it feel like it was sort of pay to win. And if at the core this is really just DMZ but with zombies on it instead of normal AI, I'd feel that's how they would transition that over, and that's sort of what worries me a little bit, where the game mode is too easy but you have to spend real money on operator bundles to be given those benefits. Some will say that's a better system than Gobblegums because you were spending money spinning a slot machine at the chance of getting the Gobblegums that you wanted, but after not being hand-fed that stuff in Black Ops 4 Zombies and Cold War and Vanguard, it's just a little bit strange to have that back again and seemingly so powerful. And I guess the point that I'm making is it really just removes all of the sort of power progression that makes up Zombies at its core, where you start off weak and you have to get stronger and stronger by spending your points on things in the map. And I know that argument can be made against Gobblegums also defeating all of that player progression, but the vibe I get from the mode is that it's a far more casual Zombies experience, so to make a casual experience even easier makes me a little skeptical, but again, only time will tell. Now, because this mode is based so heavily off DMZ, one of the main things that I think makes DMZ so fun and so frantic is that there is an element of PvP there, and the fact that you can team up with random players to take down other real players. Now, of course, in Zombies, that doesn't quite make sense, and I mean, I have no gripes that that isn't in there, but I think it would be a shame that there isn't at least some sort of game mode in the future that is experimented where PvP is turned on. Like, how crazy would that be? What I'm trying to say is, first and foremost, PvP in Zombies, obviously that's a no-go, and I don't think it should be there primarily, but as a separate game mode, I reckon it would be a very fun and interesting turn of events, because when we reflect on this mode and how similar it is to DMZ, one of the most exciting parts about DMZ and the point of it is that you're always at a risk when you're going into the game and trying to extract some of this really rare stuff. There's always the chance that you won't make it because you have the risk of other real players killing you and taking that stuff. Now, unless the Zombies and the difficulty is going to be way harder than anything we've seen before, I just don't know if there's going to be that same level of risk to the game mode where you're always going to be worried to take in really, really valuable items, because the Zombies don't really pose a big risk at all, and that you will never really die to them and lose those valuable items that you've acquired in previous games and brought in. I think overall, though, this Zombies mode is going to be very polarizing to a lot of players, but I'm really intrigued to see the full reveal of this mode, which is going to be in a few weeks' time, so that we can truly understand and see firsthand what Treyarch's vision is for this brand new Zombies experience. Like I said in the beginning, until we actually see it, I think we should hold off on being super judgmental on it and look forward to what Treyarch are cooking up, because I am absolutely sure that they saw exactly how badly received Vanguard Zombies was, and that's absolutely tainted their reputation on Zombies, so they will not want to make that same mistake again. It's not like they want to purposely put stuff out which people are going to hate. And as someone that loved DMZ and enjoyed Outbreak, I'm really optimistic that this mode is going to be the perfect combination of the two, which so many people like myself have been wanting ever since DMZ first came out. But if you haven't yet dropped your opinions in the comments below, I would love to read them. I'm going to read every single comment, so be sure to let me know. And if you agree with any of the points I brought up in this video, drop a like rating, subscribe to get yourself updated on MW3 Zombies, and I'll see you in the next one.